Hey guys, welcome back. I've got today's video is just continuing on from where I left last time. So when I got back from Peru, I, as I said, I was shook up. I didn't meditate for at least 3 weeks, and it took a real while to get sort of, I don't know, the ball rolling again. I'd fallen, back into getting the business going again, and decided I was going to buy some land. I was looking at a few different blocks out Canungra way because I really like it out here. Now, each time I sort of inquired about one, it was pretty much already gone or under contract. And then I found a place called out in Witherin. Now, it was a bush retreat. So what they were doing was it was a little off-grid community, and what they'd done was they had 137 acre property, and 40 of the acres had been sold off individually under a leasehold contract. Now, I didn't know anything about leaseholds really, just a small understanding of that's how sort of people buy islands. They don't actually really buy it, they buy the lease to it for a period of time. So that was my only sort of understanding of it. So I ended up getting a lawyer to look over it and all that, and she pointed out a couple of things here and there, but everything seemed above board as far as that side went. So anyway, the property's got sheep, geese, had a pig at the time, goats. It was all about self-sustained living. People had done small container homes and cabins or motorhomes or that sort of stuff. So there was a fair few set up. I think there was probably only about, I'd say probably about 15 to 20 of the blocks actually had people on them. Now, they were either made up of people that had bought and built, or people that had bought, built, and were renting it out to somebody else. So that was the setup. Now we have our own bore water on site. We've got two bores. One's 100% clean drinking, and then the other one was, I think it had to be filtered, and it had a small contamination in it, but that was tested a long time ago, so I'm not sure of its state at the moment. So anyway, I found this place. Now it was full of like-minded people, of different natures, different levels, but I started having just the most wonderful, deep conversations about spiritual decided stuff, which I hadn't really had a chance to do a whole lot, considering that most of my most of the people in my life were of the same mindset. So it was really, really nice to be able to sit down and have big, open conversations of this nature, and it was beautiful. I felt home. So I ended up choosing a block. There was three I was shown, and my one was number 222. So before I even looked at it, I was drawn to that, and then I saw it and fell in love with it, and it was awesome. So I started just camping. I had my swag, and I'd come stay on weekends, and I'd join gatherings and things like that, and getting to know everyone, and that was all lovely. And but I had fallen back into not drinking the same way I was, but I had one beer when I was in Peru just because it was made out of corn, and it was pretty interesting, and thought I'd just try it, and kind of wish I didn't. It was terrible. But then when I got back, I came and started meeting the gatherings here. I'd just have a couple. But that sort of, and then, oh, that's right. And then I went to Adelaide for a mate's bucks party, and I let loose and let them have, an old version of myself for the weekend. Now, I realised though that I was falling. I was, even though I was only having a couple of beers or a couple of drinks, it was, I could just see the pattern that I didn't want to go down. So I ruled that out again, and I haven't had a drink or anything since mid-December. So onwards and upwards again. But just wanted to throw it out there because this journey's an honest one, and I've noticed obviously a lot has happened that since I cut it out again. Clarity, my own psychic senses enhancing, my visions, my dreams, uh, everything's heightened at the moment. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know the healing ability I have within, and it's exciting. Now, actually, I'll just touch on something. So I've got a journal, and I write down write down my dreams when I remember them. Otherwise, I remember very little. But I was just flicking through the back the other day just to write some notes, and I come across a picture, and it had a bus, and it just said blue bus written at the top of it, and it was dated the 24th of March. Sorry, 24th of June last year. Um, and I was like, oh, that's so random. But I'm like, blue bus, but my bus is white, so I ended up. I'll get into that in a second. But anyway, I went out and had a look, and the white paint is starting to fade. The bumper bar's still blue, and realised that I dreamt that I would have this bus, uh, what, almost a year ago from when I got it, 9 months ago. So there's lots of cool synchronicities and things that have been happening for me of that nature, visions and things coming to fruition within the reality. So just wanted to quickly touch on that. But anyway, back to the block. So yeah, so I ended up getting the bus like 6 months after I dreamt it. When it came to my block, my plan was I was going to build a container home, and one of those fold out ones, 20 foot sort of side by side kind of shape. But with all the nonsense, we'll call it, going on, realized that wasn't a safe option to go jump straight into. So what I wanted to do was find a caravan. Now, the caravans I tried buying at auctions and on marketplace, and inquired about a few, put a deposit on one, and it wasn't what he said it was. Like, I just kept missing out, and then I realize now, just this is all divinely coming into me, and all these other options just weren't the right one for me. Just another example of how magical this stuff really is, how magical this reality is. So anyway, then an ad came on for a bus on marketplace. Now it was up for about 30K, I think. Now I didn't have 30K. So, but down the bottom it says open to swapping for heritage bikes or cars. Now, some of you might know I have a Harley. Now, it wasn't heritage, but it will be because they don't make diners anymore. There's 2015 Street Bob, and it's done up pretty amazingly to exactly what I wanted. So I thought, hey, I'll give it a go. I'll send old mate a message, and send him a pic and see if he would be something he'd be interested in, and he loved it. So I ended up going for a ride out there, show him that properly. Went through the bus, and he started first go. So I was like, oh, this is just awesome. And it's got kitchen, shower, toilet, big bedroom at the back, and I was just pumped. So we did a straight swap. I swapped out my Harley, my pride and joy, and I got a home out of it. So it was it's just amazing how some of these things work out for us. But like I said, it might not work out exactly how we envision, but it will work out better. And it's about having that trust and that faith into allowing it to do that and to come to you. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to say that. Cheers. So it was 200K. I paid for just over an acre, and it basically had a small little pad and a dirt driveway. So I spent the next periods of time working on that. Got earthworks moving done. I built some retaining walls out of old trees and stumps and logs and things like that, and gravelled it and flattened it and all that sort of stuff. I got to build a water tank pad and retain that, and got the water tank in there. Now I still don't have my bus on my block, mind you. There's been one set of circumstances after another that sort of stopped me from getting in there. At the moment, we've had some severe weather, so I had to fix up a drainage at the top of my driveway that would route down and cut through the top of it. So I'm sorting that out at the moment. But anyway, I spent all this time working on the block. Now, where during this time I'd been listening to a lot of Bashar, and he's just bro. Daryl Anker channels. It's a collective soul being, a collective being, and they just all the teachings that I'd learned to date. It had pretty much packaged it all into one spot, and it just made sense, resonated with me immensely. Sorry about the movement of the camera. I'm not really, I don't have the green screen, the phone holder and all that sort of stuff out here, but I've been guided to get back up to date on this story and get it out. So that's what I'm doing. So excuse it's not professional, but and perfect, but yeah, that's all good. It's not what it's about. All right, so Bashar, all the lessons and all his teachings, as I said, just made sense. And I was going through these teachings while I was doing this stuff with my blog. Now then, things started to change. So after the first, I think about a month, I think I bought in at the start of November. By the November PMA or the December PMA, a few truths had come out. So one thing I'd found out that is that my leasehold was never actually submitted, so it wasn't a real contract, and there was a whole lot of us in that boat. Now some said that they knew, others didn't. Either way, I was like, oh, all right, what's going on here? So lies were said by multiple parties, and I had two choices. I could have gone and let this sort of, I guess, take over and just tried to get out of it, get my money back, whatever. But the truth was, I believed in the vision. The vision was to create this, self-sustained property where we all lived in community. We could have had healing seminars and things like that up on the front top campgrounds, because it was a campground area. But everyone living off grid. We had our own orchard and growing our own food and just living minimalistically. With nature and on these beautiful surroundings. So I didn't want to give up on that dream. So I let that part of it go and said, all right, well let's just crack on and we'll keep going. Now then the current directors wanted to step down from their role. Now what this meant is the company owned the property and the leaseholds were through the company. So by them stepping down, if a company doesn't have a director, then we were told that it would foreclose or it would close down, and then the property would have to be sold. Now this is where it got really crap. The property is probably, it was bought for about 2.2 or something a couple of years ago. Now what it's worth exactly at the moment, I don't know, but going by the fact that nothing was submitted to council and approved, I don't imagine it would be heaps more, but I don't know for sure. Either way, with all the money that they'd taken on and acquired over this time from all the investors and that, if they were to sell the property today, there's no way we'd all get our money back. So that obviously sent everyone into a bit of a spiral of fear. Now, the only option was for someone to step up and take on the directorship role and keep this dream going, give us a chance to actually create and build this up a bit more, and visualize it or see this dream come to fruition. So there was a group of us that put our hands up, probably about 7, I think. 5 of us were voted in by the collective of owners, and that was really nice. I being one of them. Now I'd gone and seek legal counsel about this. Now my major concern was I really wanted to help with the steering of the direction of the place. However, I didn't want to put my name to paper because of past doings and wrongdoings of the previous management team. Things to the nature of, cutting down trees when they weren't supposed to, and not seeking the proper council approvals, and all these sorts of things. There was just everything was done backwards, but I didn't even find out until after the fact. So I was happy to help, like I said, steer it, and we had a really, really good group of people coming together to make this team. But then, but I didn't want to sign a piece of paper and make it official. So that was where we were at, and we started for about a month. None of us actually, even the others, didn't actually sign anything. Nothing became official, but we were sort of acting as in that role. We were having meetings, and we were coming up with procedures and policies and things to try and turn this around, make this run properly. And then we were side railed by one of the directors who didn't want to step down, and she was the only one that actually stayed on the paperwork. So anyway, I don't want to go too much into all that, but what the next few the next few weeks, there was a whole lot of chaos here. There was lots of people acting out of fears, myself included. There was lots of accusations and threats of aggression and assault and all this sort of stuff going on, and it all went haywire. And I went and sought more legal counsel. And that legal counsel was telling he had a plan on one way forward to get this sorted out for us, and it seemed like a good plan. Now that would mean that we would end up with the property. Now, before we could even action it, I followed up with him, and then all of a sudden the communication went dry. Just stopped answering me. Didn't answer my calls. Didn't reply to my emails. I'm like, oh, that's strange. So I seeked out another one. Spoke to him, and he's like, yep. I see what you're doing. Probably would go about this one a little bit differently or whatever. But he's like, okay, cool. I'll send you a calendar invite, and we'll meet up and we'll go through it. Same deal. Never heard from him again. Tried ringing back. Wouldn't take my call. So this bit too strange. So I was like, okay, no, there's divine intervention here. Stopping this. There's something else another way I'm supposed to go about this. Maybe there's a lesson here. Now, by this time, all these meetings and everything, I was so drained. I was feeling crook. My mind was just racing all the time. And it was fears, and I was feeding off other people's fears and my own. It was just amplifying, and I had some kind words from a couple of the community members that really just sort of snapped my memory back into unconditional love, and that's not where I was operating from here. Now, Bashar had talked about you not, when you have your negative and fear-based belief systems, it's about correcting them, realizing what they are, and then realizing that they're not real, and releasing them and changing that aspect. So what I did is I retreated. I went within, and I spent a couple of weeks of really sort of trying to work out how I should handle this differently. So I reached out and I mended bridges where, even though I was, insulted and accused of all this absolute crap, but Didn't matter. I was going to be in a full forgiving mode. I was going to realize that, people were reflecting lessons that I needed to learn about myself at the time, and it wasn't really them, and it was okay. So that's what I did. Now I watched my outer reality start to change in a few different ways for the better, which was awesome. But the biggest difference was how I felt inside. The knots, the sleeping, and everything settled down. So I knew I'd made the right choice. Um, Now, things continued on in a strange way, uh, chaotic. But what I'd learned to do was to view the chaos but not be affected by it, not let it change how I was reacting to it, which is really, really important here. So I watched it. I had people trying to bring me into it, but I wouldn't have any part of it. And I explained myself to them, and for the most part, everyone got it and they understood. And they might not have agreed, but this is my path and my journey and my life, so I'll do what I want. And that was exactly what I did. Now, there's still a little bit of it up in the air. Things were mended and said it was all good, and then we got issued of trying to be kicked off and all this sort of stuff. I don't even care. I really don't. I don't see it happening personally. But I just wanted to, the main part of all this chaos and all this sort of stuff, it's not about blaming and all that sort of jazz and all that, or feeling sorry for incidences that have happened. The main thing was about realizing the fear-based belief systems, and this was where it really hit home for me, and I really started to get good control of this and started correcting these thought narratives from every angle that they came up. And then the last 2 weeks especially, this is where it's really taken off for me. My telepathy and visions, the matching up with my synchronicities everywhere is just so fucking exciting. It's magic. It's absolute magic. It's the stuff you dream about when you're kid, when we're kids, and watching it actually unfold in the reality, and it's unbelievable. So I just wanted to share that. Now I've gone well out of my notes. I don't think I've really read majority of them, but I know I've definitely hit on the main parts, and that's the good thing. I will just have I'm just going to pause for a second, have a quick read, and make sure I haven't missed anything important. 1 second. Okay, so one part I forgot to say was that within a month of all that sort of chaos going on, none of us ended up taking on that role properly. And I won't go into all the details because that's just bringing my vibration down, just thinking about it, and that's not what I'm about. So I guess I will move on to the I've also been learning from Abraham Hicks videos and the law of allowing and attraction, and tying that in with the lessons of Bashar, and understanding how the manifesting and the creating really works. And it all makes sense really when you sit down and work it all out. But pretty much we're all extensions of source, and yeah, I've mentioned this before, and we came into this reality to create. Now what we do is we're sending out the things that excite us, and our things that we want and we desire and we dream and imagine, and all these lovely things. We send that out to the ether, out to our higher self source, who always says yes, creates it. And then what we need to do is we need to keep our mind, and we need to follow love and joy and happiness and bliss to help then bring it down into reality. Now, Source will bring it into our reality in the best way possible. Our high self, that's what they will do. And now it probably won't be the way we expect, but it'll always be better. So what it is, you've got to release and you've got to surrender. You've got to think, okay, I've I've created it. We have created it. It's there. Now I just need to tune to it by keeping my vibration high. And our vibration stays at our highest in alignment with our higher self when we are happy, when we are following our pure bliss moments. So I spent pretty much weeks of just following my excitement. And if things didn't feel good, I just didn't do them. And then I've kept myself aligned and then just started watching all these other magnificent things come into place for me. So that's, yeah, it's been exciting. I've just closed out a cycle. It's been a pretty heavy one. It was just closing out old karmic lessons, and I'm pretty much a new person. It's exciting. I am going to go whole for leather in I don't even know why I said that. That doesn't even make sense. Um, I'm just going to go flat out in this direction, and I know that I'm meant to be talking to you, and I'm meant to be showing a way that it can be done. And I will continue to do that. I will continue to write my music, and I will sing, and I'll dance, and I'll have a great time along the way, and I will surrender the rest of the magic to Source. So, anyway, thank you for listening. I'm wishing you all love and light, and of course, the highest of frequencies. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.